All right, real quick, just want to go over Conquest, some of the how it works, and some strategies involved in doing well. The terms I'm going to be using, points. With there are two types of points. There's alliance points and individual points. Individual points don't matter. They just don't. Alliance points is what's going to get you to the next round because the ranking is based on alliance points. So for the going forward, I'll just refer to it as points. Ore is just the amount of clearant ore that you have in your possession. Um, there's a finite amount of ore distributed between the different alliances participating. So we'll get into all that in a minute. Points per minute is the amount of amount of alliance points that you're going to generate every 60 seconds, and it's based solely on the amount of clearant ore in your possession. So you can see in the screenshot here, this alliance, Marvel and DC Heroes, they've got 464,000 ore. So their points every 60 seconds is 46. So they've got a 46 ppm. The alliance that's listed towards the top, they've got 775,000 clearant ore. So their ppm is probably in the neighborhood of 70 to 75. It's kind of based on, I mean, a rough estimate is going to be you take the amount of ore and just take the first two numbers. And that's the simplest way to estimate where you're at, but it fluctuates. Moving on. In Conquest, there are 3 roles that need to be filled. You have defenders who are going to stay at home in your alliance to defend your own buildings, to keep people from trying to plunder those buildings. They need to have pretty high stats because of the building buffs, which we'll get into in a bit. There's Overwatch, who are I think of them as a roaming death squad, essentially. They are there to take out anybody who is messing with your plunderers and to help the plunderers maintain possession of the towers or the buildings that they are plundering, which also leads us to the plunderers themselves. Plunderers are going to be the people with the lowest stats because their job is to simply send troops to a building and plunder the ore. They don't necessarily have to do any killing. That's what your Overwatch is going to be for. So those are the 3 main roles to focus on. When you want to port to another kingdom, there are 2 ways to do it. From your main screen, I didn't do a screenshot of this, I apologize. In the bottom left, there will be a Conquest icon, which will give you the interface you see in the top screenshot here. When you click on one of the kingdoms, it'll give you a little bit of a drop down, and you can hit a button that says teleport. That will take you to that kingdom, but it will put you in a random spot, which isn't the greatest. I mean, it's not bad to scout to see where you're at, but I prefer the other method, which is if you go to the event center, click on Conquest, and then click on a button that says Clearant Ore. It will take you to the screen you see in the bottom here, which is the Clearant Ore distribution page. When you highlight one of the alliances on the left, it'll show you the screen on the right, which is all of their buildings. So you can see their fortress, altar, and their 4 towers. If you see a building there that you want to jump to so you can plunder, you just have to click on the coordinates for that particular building. Like if I want to go to their dragon altar, I would just hit where it says Kingdom 41, X 743, and Y 1373. Click on that, it would ask me if I want to teleport. I would hit the teleport button, and it would move me as close to that building as it possibly could. The second method is obviously more ideal because it'll move you closer to where you need to be. Both methods of porting are absolutely free. Once you're in another kingdom, you can use advanced teleports to move around, but for those of us who are broke as hell, I like the free method. Alright, in your own kingdom, when you click on a building, you'll see a button that says Clearant Ore Details. You have to use the Clearant Ore Details button if you're going to send troops to defend your tower. If you just use the Garrison button, you will effectively be doing nothing. When you click on Clearant Ore Details, if there's somebody currently plundering that tower, you'll see the screen on the left. It shows you who's plundering, and if you want to attack them solo, then you hit the Recapture button, and that'll bring up the attack interface, and you can send troops. You hit the Rally button to start a rally against the person plundering. If you hit Details, it will show you the amount of buffs that both the defender and the plunderer are receiving, and it will also show you the gathering speed for that particular building based on the amount of ore in there. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. If you currently have somebody already defending, a tower, or if you don't, if you click on Clearance or Details and you need to send troops that doesn't have a building being plundered, you'll see the interface on the right screen. You can just hit the button for Send Troops and send your troops to that tower, or that building, pardon. When you're in another kingdom, you'll see 4 buttons there. Scout and Rally are just what they say they are. Everybody's familiar with those. Plunder Or is essentially the same as the just attack button. It brings up the regular attack interface, and you send a march solo, and it goes into the building. Difference being is once it attacks, then your troops will stay there and plunder. If you click on Clearance or Details, it will show you again the details for that particular building, what the defender and plunderer buffs are, and it will show you the gathering speed for that building. Strategies. Maximize PPM. That's the main goal here. First, second, third, and so on. It's based on alliance points. In order to get the most alliance points, you're going to want to maximize the amount of points you're getting per minute. So the higher the PPM, the faster you're going to generate alliance points. So if you can stay in the top 3 PPM throughout the entire event, then you will definitely be in the top 3, which is what the goal is for this first round of Kingdom Conquest. This is where the defenders are going to come into play a fair amount, because if you can prevent people from plundering the ore that you've already gathered, then obviously you're going to start stockpiling it, and your PPM is going to go up very fast. And again, faster PPM, more alliance points, better chance of placing in the top 3. Paying attention to the building buffs. Every building during Conquest is going to have an amount of ore. If that building has more than 100,000 ore, then the person plundering gets a buff. If the amount of ore is less than 100,000, then the defender gets a buff. Now the buff, it scales based on how much ore you are, over or below 100,000. So if you are looking in another kingdom, you're looking to plunder a building, and you see one that's got 100,000, one that's got 150,000, and one that's got 50,000. You're going to want to go after the one with 150, because the buff you get as a plunderer is going to be way higher than the one at 100,000, and certainly higher than the one that's at 50,000. On the flip side of that, if you're a defender, and you've got somebody plundering your building, and your building is at 50,000, well, as a defender, then you would get a pretty significant buff, and that will be helpful. But if your buildings are over 100,000, this is where, again, why the defenders have to be such high stats. Because as you're hoarding all this ore, your building's going to be over 100,000, and the plunderers are going to get a pretty big buff. So you're going to need your defenders to have pretty beefy stats themselves. Alright, picking the right target. How do I want to word this? When you are looking for targets to go after, ideally you're going to have enough people plundering that you've got somebody in every kingdom constantly plundering. But if you need to be picky about it, you need to pick and choose, the first thing you need to do is look at who is beating you in the clearance or distribution, and you'll see where you're at among lists there. And the goal is just to be at the top of this list where the clearance or distribution is. If there is somebody that is ahead of you in alliance points that is also ahead of you in clearance or distribution, they should be your primary concern. So in this example here, Marvel and DC heroes, they're sitting in 5th. So they're not doing well. But if they might be 3rd in alliance points, but we don't see that right now. But the goal is to, again, go after targets that are ahead of you in clearance or distribution, and priority given to those who are ahead of you in alliance points. All right, let's see. Okay, after you send troops to defend or to plunder, it doesn't matter which. Once your troops are already in that building, you can shield your castle. The strategy that we've been using is you find a building, you send a full march of troops. Once you're there, and I guess to expand on that a bit, if you send a march of troops at a building to clear it, you'll lose some troops yourself. You can either pull back and send another full march, or you can just add troops. There's a button to add troops once you've already done it. But either way, once all of your troops are currently in the building and you start sitting down to plunder, we would just pop a 2-hour shield. Every 2 hours, we would then reassess what building we should be gathering at, and just kind of bounce around to the highest buildings. Um, it helps a lot with Overwatch being there, because then they can keep those buildings clear for you. Um, and if you're having trouble getting to a new building, they can help you rally that building to make sure you get in there and actually plunder it. But yeah, shielding after you send it to a plunder is a good way to protect your castle and the rest of your troops. Um, let's see. For defense, if you are back in your own alliance and you are currently shielded, you can send defenders to an empty building. So if you have a building in your hive that no one is currently plundering and you're already shielded, you can send troops there. If there's currently somebody plundering, you cannot send it from under shield. You have to break that shield. So just keep in mind, I try not to shield unless I know I'm going to be parked in a building for more than 2 hours plundering. Multiple people can plunder in a single building. The first person in is going to be the one doing the plundering. Plundering speed has absolutely nothing to do with the number of troops you send. You could send one troop, or you could send 300,000. It doesn't matter. They're going to gather the same speed. Everybody that goes into the building after that, they will get individual points for defending, but they don't get points towards the alliance points. Not directly. So if the reason that's helpful is if you've got somebody plundering, again, this is where the Overwatch helps. You have somebody plundering, and they keep constantly getting attacked by somebody. The Overwatch can help reinforce that particular building, so that the plunderer can continue plundering. So that's a useful tactic as well. I think that basically covers everything. I'm sure there's going to be questions or probably tiny details that I've missed. But feel free to ask me about all that. And all right, I should do it. Thank you.